wasn't working and really didn't have a counter off of it. What was your thoughts on just the beginning stages of the game and how we tried to establish a run, but it just didn't work out?
Yeah, man, it was, at some point you have to realize it's not going to work. Like at some point you have to realize we can't continue to put ourselves in situations where we're not on schedule, we're behind the sticks. It was, run, pass, punt, run, pass, punt every single time. And Chris was saying this, he was saying this in our chat, like run, pass, punt. And it's like the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. Like switch it up, man. And don't get me wrong. I understand that running is going to be key to this team because no matter who the quarterback is, whether it's Aiden O'Connell or Gardner Minshew, we knew in the offseason we're going to have to establish to run because we do not want to put the success and failure of this offense 100% on their arm. Yeah. We know that. But at some point, you have to say, look, we have to do either something different with the run. We have to, maybe AP kind of alluded to it. Maybe we need to change schemes because no matter who was back there, whether it was Madison or Zamir, we weren't really having any success. So it was just a frustrating game to watch, man, because, I had talked about it before where, like now we had expectations, right? We talked about that expectation thing. And it's like, okay, how do you handle success? You had some success. Now you have expectations. You have to live up to these expectations. How do you handle it? And we did not handle it well at all.
No, and everybody's in the chat. I appreciate everybody coming through. A ton of you guys in the chat. I'm going to try to get you guys' comments and questions. Again, if you have a question for us, hit that hashtag Raiders and then give me that question just so it catches my eye. But B-Win, you said we attacked them with our weakness. And we did.
Exactly.
And I understand why we wanted to initially try it because, again, they have one of the weakest D lines in the league. So I understand trying to establish that. But once it's not there, just don't beat that drum if it's not making the noise. You know what I'm saying? It's just so we just had no counter to it, unfortunately. And so I'm going to pull up the stats. We're going to take a look at some of the stats. I'm going to keep trying to go through these comments, guys, because man, you guys are flooding the comment section. I appreciate you. Mark Carbone says, "Where's Stu?" We'll see if he pops in. He's obviously a busy man, and I don't know if I have another 4.5 hours in me when it comes to after a game like this. But let's pull up the stats. All right, let's take a look at some of these stats. And again, it's ugly, but this is one of the things that I said is what worried me is that Andy Dalton, he's a veteran. He's going to come in with a veteran presence, and he's going to be able to play with another little bit of confidence. One of the announcers said, and I said in one of the videos that I posted during the week, I said, look, sometimes when a veteran comes in as a quarterback, you kind of get a renewed confidence in this offense. And one thing we had to do is smack him in the mouth as quickly as possible to kill any confidence that he comes with.
Exactly.
We just didn't do it. And look at his stats. 26 of 37, 319 yards and 3 touchdowns.
The only quarterback so far that's got over 300 passing yards and 3 touchdowns. The only quarterback this season who's done that.
Yeah, it's crazy. You look on the flip side, we got Gardner Minshew, 18 of 28. Now, we threw, I believe, 38 times against the Ravens, 214 yards, 1 touchdown, another kind of horrendous pick. Not sure where he was going with it. But it's hard to even look at some of these stats given the fact that we just couldn't even move the ball. We had 1 deep shot that was early in the game, which was great to Trey Tucker, and then we just could not complete anything past that.
There was another one, though. There was another one that Severe reminded me of that Trey Tucker stopped running or he slowed down. You run through that route, you might get another touchdown by Trey Tucker. Yeah. I think was that in the third quarter or fourth?
I think it was third.
Yeah, it was later in the game.
Third.
Yeah, that could have been huge right there because Tucker had him beat. But for some reason but that's neither here or there, man.
But then we try to establish the run game, and you establish the run. You try your best to establish the run game, even though, I mean, it looks like we tried to establish the run game. We only ran the ball 13 times with running backs, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
And Gardner Minshew, you had the long run of the day.
Yeah.
For us.
15 attempts total for 55 yards. Only 55 yards when you're trying to establish it and you don't get off of it. And then you look at the flip side. Carolina just ran. I mean, we made Chuba Hubbard look like a premier running back in this league, which they don't even know if they have a true start. Miles Sanders, they kind of have a rotation over there, but they went with the hot hand. Chuba Hubbard was just hot, so they went with him. Just made him look damn good. And then we'll go down to the receivers real quick. Because here's where we're going to get into a very interesting conversation. Because you look at the stats. Devontae Adams, 2 very crucial drops. Had a very crucial drop last week. The one up the middle in the red zone, could have walked in for a touchdown. And then he's got 2 more drops.
He had a drop in game 1 too, didn't he?
I think he did.
Right? Yeah,
I think he did. Yeah, he did.
Come on, man.
And so here's my question. This is where, where are we going to find kind of this identity right now? That's the hard part is we can't establish a run, but we try to establish a run, and then we bail off of it. We try to get to the pass, and we just could not spread that ball around. And Jacoby Myers, he looks like he was really our only kind of our lone stud. Trey Tucker got 51 of those 96 in one pass, in one catch. Brock Bowers, we really didn't get him the ball enough this game. Only 3 catches, 41 yards. We want to build off of what we did last week.
Did he miss some snaps? I know he had to go in the tent for a while to look at a concussion. But I did see him later on in the game, but I didn't watch him enough to know if he got right back in there. Was he out for a while, or did he get?
I don't know
right
if he was out for a while. I don't think he was out for a while.
Yeah, I don't think it was out that long.
4 targets is ridiculous.
Yeah, and so
ridiculous, man.
Let's talk real quick about some people are in the chat. Rodhawk 729 saying Zeus has no vision. I mean, this is a topic that a lot of people have talked about. This is today. It looked like he was just running the back of linemen all day long. I mean,
today I feel like they did more power. They tried more power.
It looked like it. Yeah, I want to go back and look at the film, but it looked like they did try to run a little more power.
But it's like, oh man, I mean, Zeus, man, and again, I don't want to blame him. It's just that line controls so much. It controls so much. You damn near can't do play action. You can't, Minshew, and honestly, one thing I noticed today, they didn't do that much blitzing. They were able to get enough pressure with just their linemen, but they put most of their guys back in coverage, and they almost played us the way we played Lamar. They were just making sure that Minshew had no running lanes. That's why when you see Minshew try to evade, he had nowhere to go. He couldn't. They set the edge, and then they made sure they played their 2 gaps, and that's why it's usually he'd be able to hit a seam and go. He couldn't go nowhere, and they had pretty decent coverage downfield. It was just bad play calling, man.
And I'll say, Shelly Krager, she says Minshew looks scared. Getsy would call a pass that didn't even get past the first down lines. It was abysmal being there. So here's the thing is, I'll be honest, and I don't know if my 2 cents popped in here at all because I know we had some talks about leadership and all this. But here's the thing. The only thing I will say about Minshew today is Minshew looked – I don't know if scared is the right word, could be. It's debatable. I think he looked lost. I really – when the camera would pan to him, he just looked lifeless. Like he didn't know what to do. And that's what was tough. Yeah. There's different ways to lead. But for him, I wanted to see him try to just, whether it be through some mannerisms or something, get a spark.
Yeah.
Try to spark this offense some way, somehow. You got Max Crosby as a leader. We'll talk about the defense side because obviously Max Crosby had limited playing time today. But you got to have somebody on that offense side that's going to try to get a spark as well when you're on the field. Max Crosby's not on the field. He's sitting on the sideline. You need someone that's going to put a fire into someone's ass a little bit and say, look, if we got to get this yard, get the yard. We got to get this 3rd and 2. You got to have somebody that's going to get a little live on the field. And it looked like everybody was just flat and dead.
We don't have that dog mentality on offense, man. We just don't. Even Devontae, he's more to me, like a leader by example. He's not too much like of a rah-rah guy, but sometimes you need that guy that's going to and I'm not going to say who was that guy in the past, but we still need to find someone that can at least get guys fired up on the offense side of the ball. Because Zamir's not going to do it. Brock Bowers is not going to do it. Jacoby's not going to do it. Colton Miller's not going to do it. Andre James is not going to do it. Who's going to do
Devontae? It's supposed to be Devontae, but he's out there dropping passes.
Yeah,
he's out there dropping passes
no, he was. But
right.
I'm saying from a communication standpoint, that's not him though. But I get what you're saying. He's supposed to do it by his play.
Yeah, so but even then, just being a leader, bro, you're one of the faces of not only this franchise, but one of the faces of the NFL. Go out there, and you did all this talking on the sideline when you wasn't happy with the quarterback and this other stuff. To do that same level of talking to get these guys motivated. So I don't want to and like I said during the game, bro, he better not say a mother effing thing about guys not doing what they're supposed to. I don't want to hear nothing from you, bro.
Nothing. Of that.
2 weeks in a row, you dropping stuff in crucial situations. In crucial situations. Last week you had the potential 2 potential touchdowns, and this week you had that very crucial play. Was that before the end of the half where he dropped that pass?
Yeah, it would have made the field goal a lot.
It's bro, you're getting paid all this money. You're supposed to be a team leader. You did all this complaining.
Yeah,
make the play when it's time to make the plays, and he didn't make enough of them.
And also on top of that, oh my bad, real quick. And then on top of that, I think back at little stuff, like that last preseason game when he's basically oh, I don't need to play preseason. I mean, he didn't say that exactly, but it's like he's above it. But you know what? It's all about the details, man. That interception that was thrown, and I'd have to watch it again, but I almost think it was like an option route. And just him and Minshew saw it differently or whatever. I mean, or maybe it was bad communication. Whatever it was a lack of communication between them two. Yeah. So I don't know, man. And that's kind of what that interception was last week when it was it was intercept or the whatever.
No, talking about week 1. Talking about the week 1.
The fumble. When was the fumble?
The fumble. Yeah.
It's like I feel like Tay and him ain't fully
on the same page.
Yeah, it's
not on the same page at all.
I don't know, man.
So, and here's my thing. Let's talk about Devontae real quick because I think Chris, you said or Severo, I forget which one said it. This just Devontae isn't that type of guy, right? That rah type of guy. But here's my thing: is when it's not going well, when Devontae Adams, it's like when Minshew threw that pick. And Devontae Adams turns around. He's going to the sideline and he puts his hands up
go get him.
And it's his mannerisms that just deflates this team. I mean, he walks the sideline, head down, just sits on the bench. And don't get me wrong, he wants to win. He wants this team to succeed. But there's signs of just him being kind of a me guy, And
right.
And you got to be, in order to be great, you got to be different. I understand that. But at the same time, his mannerisms just aren't right sometimes, especially when you are looked at as the leader. Back in the day when he was with Green Bay, maybe he hasn't really fully learned to be that number one leader because back in the day, he had Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers was that guy.
But the thing is that, perfect example, as you said, right after that play, how he throws his hands up. Contrast that between what happened last week with Max Crosby, right? That's leadership, right? Exactly. That's how you do it. That's how you handle a situation. Hey, flush that play. We're gonna come back, get him next time, right? We need you. We need you locked in. Don't worry about that. We'll next drive, we'll go out there and get him. That's how you do it. But when you start to show that kind of visible frustration, that's when guys start pressing. Oh damn, okay. like now I got to get the ball to Devontae, and then they start doing
Right.
things that they shouldn't be doing, right?
Right.
So like it's incumbent upon like, yo, you can voice your unhappiness, like, yo, man, I was on this play. Oh, you got to do this, but there's a way to communicate and there's a way not to. And that's what I was saying, bro. There's a way to do it and there's a way not to do it.
Yep.
So people will say, oh, people getting mad about Devontae saying what he said, bro. You can voice your opinion, but make sure it's in a productive way. What you're doing is unproductive. It helps nobody but yourself. It helps nobody but you show up your team so you can say at the end of the day, it's not my fault, bro. And that play wasn't me. That was on him. That wasn't on me. I did what I was supposed to do. But who cares? At the end of the day, you're a Raider. So an interception against the Raiders goes against you as equally as it goes against those other 47 guys that are activated on game day. So I don't care whose fault it was. Get it fixed. And the best way to fix it is for you to go over to your quarterback and get on the same page, not try to show up your quarterback on national television because that's what Devontae feels like doing at that time.
Right.
And so, we'll go through these stats real quick because obviously there's a lot to talk about. You guys in the comment section, you guys are throwing up a lot of good comments. I'm going to try to get to some of them. There's one good one that I want to touch on because it's huge. I want to get everybody's opinion on this. But obviously with the stats, we can look at the defensive side. And, I mean, the defense – you made Andy Dalton look like a stud. You made a second-tier running back and a Chuba Hubbard look like an absolute beast. And so I don't know if we really want to touch on the defense, except for the fact that I hope Marcus Epps is okay. That did not look good. When you're
it was non-contact, right?
It was non-contact. When you need buckles like that, and you could tell he was in pain, it just didn't look good. So I hope it's all right. And then we got Max Crosby. We don't know what's going on with him. Obviously, he was on the injury list. He was limited in practice all week long, and then all of a sudden, he's limited in the game, which is not good with the injuries we have going on. So, but one of the things, and these are kind of all the stats, not a whole lot to talk about on the defensive side. So we'll kind of go back. We'll come back to the main page. There was a comment that was thrown up there, and AP did say in his presser after the game. And Chris, I told you to kind of bring this up. He said there were some players that were making business decisions, and us coaches now have to make some business decisions. Now, I have no clue what that means. Chat, if you guys have an idea as to what that means, I'm going to try to get down to the bottom of the comment section. I apologize if I skip anybody, but I can't. I try to think back in the game as to what does that mean. And who is he talking about? Because that's something very specific that you say that you need to be very careful with your words.
Yep.
And for him to say that, you pointing out somebody or some people.
Yeah.
But again, after watching that game, I don't know exactly who he's talking about. And so, and now I don't know if he's talking about, I mean, he can't be talking about coaches because then he said coaches will have to make a decision. So, chat, let us know, who do you think he's actually talking about? Chris, what are your thoughts? What do you think?
I was trying to wrap my head around it as well. I don't know. Because I didn't see any specific player who he could have been talking about because I didn't see no one really get benched. I don't know. Did you guys see anyone like get benched early or someone that was kind of like doing their own thing? So nothing really popped out, but I don't know if something happened on the sideline.
At one point when we got when the Panthers were down the red zone, I noticed both Ja'Cory and Bennett, and I think there might have been a penalty on him or something. Him and Jack Jones were on the sideline, and they ran a play. We had two backup corners in. I don't know if that was just coincidence, but I mean, we were basically down inside. The Panthers were inside our own 10, and so you need your top corners in.
Yeah,
they're on the sideline again. Could be just coincidence. I have no clue, but Chris, keep going.
So like nothing really popped out. Because it's not like we had like a Marcus Peters situation where it was like you seen something happen when you're like, oh, that's not going to be good. So I don't know. Like I didn't see no one get benched. I mean, I don't know something with Devontae because he really backs Getsy. So I don't know, man. It's gonna be interesting to see, but nothing really nothing came out to me because when I hear someone made a business decision, it's almost like they're doing their own thing. They're going rogue, and no one. I don't know who could have really went rogue. I mean, did Minshew? No, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
When I hear business decision, I think of, like, am I going to come up and make this tackle? Am I going to, come down the line and crack the end? That's what I hear when I hear business decision. Like, right? Are you going to put your body? Are you going to put your body on the line to do what it takes to make a particular play? And that's not anything I can recall specifically. Maybe he's talking about some of our wide receivers in the run game. Possibility. I'd have to see the all 22 to kind of be the judge of that. And when you're Devontae Adams, maybe you're maybe you're supposed to come down and hit at the end, and you're like, I'm gonna come down and get in the way, but I'm not necessarily gonna hit the guy. So maybe it's something like that on film. Like, all right, so that's pure speculation. Without seeing the film, no, I really can't speak to that with any kind of certainty. But when I hear business decision, I think about stuff like that. So
you think it's kind of more on the defense coming up, or because I mean, I don't know. I don't know, man. Like dudes, like defense or offense, nobody played like they cared. Nobody played like they cared. They played like, okay, well, you know what? We showed we're good last week, so we don't really have to show. But like even Spillane was getting pushed around today, just missing tackles and.
Look, man. We're not talk about Spillane. I spoke about Spillane last week, right? Last week
you did.
And I said it last week. Spillane was getting cooked in coverage. And people, you're severe, you're a hater. Bro, I'm the only person that supported that signing last year. The only person that said he's a guy that came from Tomlin and Brian Flores, who was on the field all 3 downs and playing special teams over guys like
Devin Bush.
Over Bush and over Miles Jack. I support that signing last week, but I call it like I see it. And last week he was getting cooked in coverage, biting on play action. I can name 3 times he bit on play action, 2 for big completions, 1 for a touchdown. He bit on a Lamar Jackson when he was rolling out, bit and vacated his zone. What did Lamar Jackson do? Complete a pass exactly to the zone he's supposed to be in. Got cooked on a pass to Isaiah Likely. While Isaiah Likely shook him out of his socks and gained a few extra yards. Like, he was getting cooked in coverage. And I said, Diablo, while he made some big misses, he made that big miss on Derrick Henry. And there's another one where he kind of didn't run the alley. He didn't pull the trigger fast enough where Derrick, that's the play that Derrick Henry kind of stiff arm Snowden into the shadow realm. But other than that, he played a clean game and was flawless in coverage. Flawless in coverage. And people's, but you don't know what you're talking about.
Masterson was always a step behind today too. And honestly, that one catch that where Andy Dalton he threaded that needle. Yeah, Masterson should have been there, man. He was right there.
Last week, Masterson's first snap of the game, they go after him in pass coverage. Masterson's third snap of the game, they go after and get a big he's not good in coverage. He's not great in the run either. So it's like, we have really one coverage linebacker, and that's Diablo. And without Bernie or possibly maybe Gainer being on the field, we don't have another guy that's going to be competent in coverage.
Yeah, we had an Eichenberg showing.
Woo! Woo!
We did.
and I saw him do something on the sideline that I was like, oh man, severe.
Oh yes,
Severe's gonna be all.
Wait, hold on. To his defense, the very first time I saw Eichenberg, he was on that special team. It was like the punt. He got a tackle on the punt, and then like the last 3 times I saw him, he was getting cooked. I was like, Severe out there about to cook this dude.
Look, I started him out last week because he missed a tackle on special teams last week. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna stall him out. I ain't gonna say nothing about it. But then when you get defensive snaps, people Tommy Two Thumbs got 2 left feet, and both of them have sprained ankles, right? Dude is not good, right? He's not good. He's going to take some time to develop, and maybe he'll be a guy that develops into a good player. But right now, he's useless in real, actual defensive snaps, and I think he proved that in this game.
So, and here's my thing, right? Just kind of going back to what AP said. There's a really good chance. I don't know that it was just a general statement because of just how shitty everybody played, right? It could have just been a general statement. He may not have been pointing necessarily at a single person or a couple people. It might have been just a general statement given the fact that, just across the board, when you get beat 36 22 and you got basically some points in some garbage time, later in the fourth quarter, and you let a backup quarterback like Andy Dalton do that to you, you let Chuba Hubbard do that to you. I mean, at the end of the day, I think he might have just been making a general statement and saying, look, players made business decisions today, and their decision just was not to step the hell up and ball out. And so as a coach, then you say, yeah, we're going to have to make coaching decisions.
But you know what, man? I think as much as we love the culture of the Raiders and what AP brings, we got to buckle down on some stuff. Like, honestly, I don't know about you guys, but I don't want to see a damn cigar lit unless we go into the damn Super Bowl. Like, beating a team, you know what I'm saying? Whatever. Every time we win a game, I don't want to see no cigars, man. Act like we've been here before, man.
Yes.
Like little stuff like, and honestly, and I know players don't like it, but sometimes, man, after you win a game, you don't necessarily have to give that team that day off, that Monday off, man. Like, I get, like, Belichick didn't do that shit.
No.
And I know it sounds good. We're not good enough, man. We're not good enough to just be giving, hey, you guys got Monday off, come back on Tuesday, let's rock. No, we're not good enough, man. So I don't know, man. I love AP. I love everything about him, man. But now stuff is starting to really irritate me, man. Like, no, there should be no cigar smoking when you're 1-1. I don't care.
Exactly.
I actually 100% agree, because it was one of the things that I kind of mentioned at the end of last season, right? When we're partying after the Chargers game, last game of the season, I think we were all just kind of having a good time because they're like, look, this season's done. We're ready to move on to the next season. So I understand just celebrating. Yeah. But then also, to your point, like, there does come a point where you have to make sure you still have a command over this. Yeah. This squad, over this team.
These dudes damn near they're damn near friends with them, man. That's what it seems like.
And Antonio Pierce has said it a couple times. He said it a couple times in the pressers, over the last, obviously, handful of months off season. He'll say that this is the team. The players run this team,
right?
And so don't get me wrong. He has to be able to work with the players, make sure that he understands them on a personal level. You always hear about these player coaches, which is good. But there comes a point where if you give way too much leeway, like, they run with it. They're still players.
The inmates will run the asylum.
Yeah, they're still players. And so I'm with you. There comes a point where there's that fine line between, I respect you guys as players, you do your thing, you're grown-ass men, do your thing, but it's like, the example that I like to kind of give is Mike Tomlin. And it's just because I'm a fan of Mike Tomlin. It's like, Mike Tomlin, those players know he runs the show. But every single player, whether it's ex-players, and when they lead the team, there's times where players will speak out a little bit. No, I don't know of any players that have come out and said that he's an awful coach or a bad coach or have a bad relationship with them. He's a player's coach, but he also understands how to run that organization, that team.
Absolutely. So, Bill Cowher was the same way. I think of him the same way. He was, he was known as a player's coach, but he lightened to your ass too, man. Like, I don't know, man.
And I think the situation is that, AP was coming in. He inherited a locker room that was like, he should have seen some of this coming, right? Because for as bad as Josh McDaniels was, I keep saying, the things they were complaining about are things professional athletes should not be like, bro, you're worried that you're taking too much time in practice or in film session. This is your only job,
bro. That survey told me a lot about our team.
It's like, bro, this is filthy, disgusting stuff. I'm hearing, like, you're mad because you're being overcorrected. This is what you need, bro.
He's too mean. He's too mean. He yells too much.
Like, it's ridiculous. And like I said, there's a way to do it, right? So maybe he approached it the wrong way, because I know Tomlin ain't pulling no punches. So like, there's definitely a way to do it. But at the end of the day, man, you're a professional athlete, bro. You should, like, being overcorrected or being somebody yelling at you in film session or correcting what you're doing in film section. That's not a problem. That is you. Hey, that tells me that I need to be better. Not me
Exactly.
deflect the blame. Oh, he's not. Instead of looking that tells you, like you said, that told me all I need to know right there. Because instead of looking internally and saying, damn, I messed up right here. Damn, I didn't do what I was supposed to do. Oh man, he's keeping me here too long. Well, know what? You wouldn't be here that damn long if you're doing your job. If you were doing your job, you wouldn't be there that long. So know what? Maybe next time you're on the field, you block or you tackle, you make the damn do your job. And you won't be there. It's like
accountability.
And so I think AP, he tried to, he's trying to win over the locker room, but I think he might be going too far in the opposite direction. Like I don't, like you said, I don't want to see all these cigars, bro. Like act like you've been there before is perfect. Perfect.
Honestly,
Jerry Rice didn't celebrate at the touchdowns. What do you do?
No, exactly.
Hand the ball to the ref because he's been there before. And guess what?
And I'm gonna do it more.
Expected to be back.
Yeah,
expected to be back. When you handing out cigars, you're not expecting to go back. You're like, oh man, this is an accomplishment.
This is my 15 minutes of fame.
Hey, savor the win, right? Every win you want to cherish the win, but you also don't want to trivialize these wins or make it seem like they're so unattainable that we have to celebrate them. No. You should expect to win every game you're in. You're not going to win every game you're in, but you should go into every game you're in expecting to win.
So I promised him I'd go back to this, and he wants to talk about ownership. And look, we have a horrible history. Obviously, after we went to the Super Bowl and playing against the Bucs, it's just been it's been a shit show for the most part. And so, there's already talks. Fire Antonio Pierce, fire Luke Getsy, bench Minshew. Now, the verdict is still out. Look, we had a massive win against the Ravens, so you can't take that away from AP. This one was horrible, right? And so we're still going to ride this out. We're still going to see how this plays out. But there's going to be, if stuff like this continues, there's going to be a lot of rumblings going back to what, who was that guy holding up the sign? Fire Josh McDaniels in Vegas. There's going to come a point where everybody's going to now, it's no longer on these coaches. Now ownership needs to take up responsibility.
Yeah. Go ahead. My bad. Yeah.
It's tough because obviously we have no control over that. The league will have to step in at some point, but at the same time, yes, I think Mark Davis, again, if this does not work out, man, Mark Davis, he's going to be in some trouble with the Raider Nation. So
I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm not putting really this on Mark, man. Honestly, at least not yet. I mean, I think that he made a gutsy call that cost him a lot of money to get rid of McDaniels when he did. Yes. He didn't have to do that. That cost a lot of money to do that. He got who a lot of the fans wanted and a lot of the players wanted and a lot of the alumni and a lot of his close advisors wanted. So let's not all act like Mark just pulled somebody out of a hat. He talked to the leaders of remember, Mark himself talked to the leaders of the team before they made the choice on the interim coach. He talked to Devonta, he talked to Max, he talked to Spillane, he talked to them guys. So like I don't know, man. I'm not putting on Mark. Mark is here to make the organization should make money, be profitable, give fans good experience. But Mark is not an X's and O's guy. He counts on his advisors. I think he did the right thing. He talked to the Charles Woodsons. He talked to the Biletnikoff. I mean, everybody. He talked to those guys. So I'm not blaming Mark yet. Now I think it's on the coaches and it's on the players. It's accountability. Just like Severe said. I mean, we got a lot of guys that, and again, it might be this generation that did a survey and actually gave our coach bad numbers or bad grades because he was too hard on them. Like, you guys are not a playoff team. Of course they're going to be hard on you. Get better.
Yeah.
This participation trophy mentality is wild to me, man. Wild.
Look, and look, Mark does take some blame in this, right? But Mark has all of the characteristics you want in an owner. He's a guy he's not using this organization just to as a tax write-off or to just cash a check. legitimately cares about the success of this team. He took this team, he tried his damnedest to get a stadium building in Oakland. He was effed over by the politicians up there and effed over by the A's ownership. Then he went to the Raiders' second home in Los Angeles and got effed over by the league and effed over by pretty much Jerry Jones and Kroenke making backroom deals. So then he got him to the next best destination. That was being the first real big sports franchise to go to the Vegas area. We have the best stadium in the league. We have the best facilities in the league. We have the best training staff in the league. We have all this best stuff. He's investing all this money to provide all of the best for the players, something we've never had before. We've never had good infrastructure. We've never had good training staff. We've never had good meals.
We heard Stu talk about it last week.
Never had a top of the line weight room. He spent money on all of that stuff, right? He took the Raiders from being a franchise worth $700 million to $7 billion in like 10 years, right? So the value of the franchise is up. He does all this stuff. And then he doesn't make any decisions. He's not in there. He hires people, puts them in place, and lets them make the decision. So the only thing you can criticize him for is he needs to get better at hiring. And maybe that's the situation, right? But everybody, a lot of people like the Jack Del Rio hire. A lot of people, there was mixed bag on the Gruden hire, but I understand why he made that hire. Then the Josh McDaniels, there was major pushback. But this hire, everybody was on board with. The problem is we keep making these changes. Consistency is what we need in these positions, whether that be head coach or GM. So I'm not ready to just, to throw the baby out with the bathwater and say get rid of everybody, right?
No.
Like we understood AP, there's going to be growing pains with AP. So that's why, even though, like I said, I don't agree with some of his methods, I'm going to give him time because there's going to be growing pains, and that has to be understood. Same with Luke Getsy, right? There's going to be some growing pains. This is a new team. He has to get familiar with these players. They have to get familiar with him. So there's going to be growing pains, right? We can't just every time keep hitting the reset button because that's what puts us in this cycle of losing. We start a project, we build it up a quarter of the way, and we say, "No, what?
And then
I don't like how this turned out." We destroy it, start all over again, and then get a quarter of the way, and I don't like how it's turning out. And we have to stick with something.
And look, I agree. I think the hard part with Mark Davis is he's not great at hiring. I think he throws way too much emotion into it. I don't know if he just doesn't understand enough of the nuances, the ins and outs of being a head coach or even a GM. And he's done it backwards. I think that's his biggest problem, right? He started with Gruden. He brought on Gruden, but then he let Gruden bring on his GM.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Did that.
You know what I'm saying? And then he brought on Josh McDaniels and let Josh McDaniels bring his own GM. You need a GM that's going to hold the head coach accountable.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so he's done it in the reverse process, which I think that's kind of where his biggest mistake has been, is he's looking for the head coach where you shouldn't be looking for the head coach. You got to look for the GM and let the GM do the work. And that's where, as much as it didn't work out, I mean, it worked out enough where we made the playoffs, but he brought on Reggie McKenzie. And Reggie McKenzie got his coach, which was Jack Del Rio, and led us to a playoff.
Well, his coach was Dennis Allen.
I
think Mark Davis reached out to. If I might be wrong on this. If I recall correctly, it was Mark Davis that reached out to Jack Del Rio. I could be wrong on that though. I think we tried to get Gruden, and Gruden rebuffed us initially, and then we brought on Jack Del Rio. And then Jack Del Rio
but that was still under
under Reggie. So I skipped the step, right? So Reggie brought in Dennis Allen, but then
First of all, he got rid of Hugh Jackson.
He got rid of Hugh Jackson.
That's where he lost me. That's where he lost me.
But we eventually got to the steps of actually making the playoffs. And then we just dismantled it, right? I mean, yes, Jack Del Rio, he lost the locker room. There was stuff that went on there. But then here comes Gruden. He does it ass backwards. I think a lot of the emotions. I was cool with bringing Gruden in. I was okay with that move. But again, it kind of happened ass backwards.
I ain't gonna lie.
Like it happened ass backwards, where now he brought in Mike Mayock, and Mike Mayock was his boy. Mike Mayock couldn't hold Gruden accountable. Then that happened with Josh McDaniels, and it kind of sort of happened here. Now I think that Tom Telesco might definitely has a little more pull, a little more power in this situation, in this setup. But I think that's where Mark Davis has made the biggest mistake, is he's done it ass backwards.
Yeah.
So that's what, for me, that's just kind of where my biggest disappointment is with him, because again, you can't do it ass backwards.
I agree with that. I agree with that.
Shout out to Billy Davis, man. Have a good night, man. Get to work. Work hard, man. Get that UPH high.
Exactly. Again, everybody, I appreciate you guys. Everybody in the chat, you guys are pulling through. We got a lot of people in the chat. I'm trying to get to everybody.
I will say this, man. I commend Unfazed, man. This guy is dedicated to this narrative. He's just like, he's been locked in, bro. I've never seen anybody like, if there's any ladies out there, get you a man that loves you like Unfazed loves Aiden O'Connell. Bro. You guys will like, man, this is faithful. Like, this is soulmate type stuff right here, man. Like,
shout out to Unfazed. Now, who's more faithful, him or Rebel?
Unfazed. Unfazed.
Oh, Unfazed is more faithful than Rebel?
Unfazed will not give, like, Gardner Minshew could go out there and throw for 300 yards, and Unfazed, oh man, Aiden would have threw for 450. like he's like, hey, Gardner would throw for 350 yards, man. And he'll say he's making our receivers too tired by throwing them all these passes. Like,
shout out to Unfazed.
You're gonna be tired next week. Like, bro, he is dedicated. He is dedicated.
He is. No, because I'm going through the chat and I see Unfazed and I see AOC every single time.
Every single time.
Yeah. Like, love it.
Like Rebel will mix it up. Rebel will say something about another player. Unfazed, like he's strict. Like he's like we get those politicians that are like single issue politicians. Like, oh, I'm only going to talk about that.
Like, we're not even talking about that.
Like, he's that with AOC. Like, I don't care about nothing else. Like, our run game would be better if AOC was in there. Our defense would be better if we have Aiden O'Connell. Like, oh man, like Mark Davis will like Aiden O'Connell. Like everything just reverts back to Aiden O'Connell. It's crazy.
Oh man.
Oh, he switched it. He said. Now he might be on.
No. He says Aiden O'Connell is Brady. That's
what he Brady. Means.
Okay.
Okay. I'm catching up. No. So he's still saying. So he's just switching it up.
Oh, he didn't switch it up at all. He says we need Aiden O'Connell because he has the Brady cosign. That's what he says.
I like it. Hey, stand on it. Unfazed. Just
stand on business, Unfazed. Stand on business, big dog.
I love it. So again, chat, everybody, if you guys have a question for us, put hashtag Raiders and then your question. So again, just catches my eye. I'm gonna keep trying to roll through. You guys are flying with.
Shout out to everybody.
I appreciate you.
Shout out. Hey, make sure you guys subscribe to all 3 channels, man. We all work hard. My man, 805 Real Talk. I'm a severe Raider. Beast, man, out here. Beast.
Man, absolutely. And you got Chris, Protect the Show podcast. Make sure you guys hit that like button, go to everybody's channel, subscribe 100%. So let's talk real quick because we're talking about coaches, right? I mean, we talked about ownership, but we talked about coaches, all this AP talk and everything. I want to get your guys' opinion because I feel like Antonio Pierce is still trying to figure out this game management situation. Man. He went for it on 4th down a couple times this game. And it just didn't make sense to me. That very first one, the first one didn't make much sense. I mean, I understand that we needed like a spark. But didn't make sense to me. And then there was that 4th down that we went for, and we were on our own, like 40-yard line, which gave them great field position. I mean,
quarterback sneak.
Yeah.
That was horrible. Oh my goodness.
With Gardner, like just run a play, man. Just run a play.
I mean, and it was a long, like,
take your time to run a play, man.
It wasn't like a short yard. It wasn't in inches. It was a long 1 yard to get.
You would have thought we had Jason Kelsey, bro. Like you guys see what happens to Andre James, bro. Like you could have not have saw that and thought this was a good idea, man.
bro. Especially with it's not like Gardner Minshew was like some power. It's like some power.
Right.
Like
He's
like
biting
it
the
works.
ass.
It worked. I can understand Jalen Hurts is not the biggest quarterback, but the dude squats like
He's strong.
600 pounds.
Right. That's what I'm
Like
saying.
right, like there's some leg drive there. Like,
right.
so it's you know
Gardner got
it's
stood
like,
up like
bro. Like, but like it was nowhere for him to go. Like
Nah.
literally, they
Yeah.
were in the backfield already. So like, why don't you? Hey, in this situation, run a play action. Try to get a guy, open on a quick little, fake play action play.
My thing is at least do a hard count and try to get somebody offside.
Yes.
Do something, bro.
And here's my thing: you've been getting your ass handed to you in the trenches all game long.
Right.
You think
What
our
makes you think
offensive
that's a
line
good
is going to
idea?
push somebody? You think our offensive line is going to get a push? Like, but then again, it's going for it on fourth down in certain situations, and I feel like he's just missing the mark.
Yeah,
he's doing it in situations that just don't make much sense, and it's kind of going back to it's hard because I'm sitting there going, okay, he's a Super Bowl champion. He's played this game for a long time. You understand clock management. You understand game management. Now, sometimes when you're in the moment as a coach and you got to make sure you make that right decision.
Yeah.
But it just feels like he's so off right now.
Yes.
And I'm trying to understand just how and what's Lewis? Tom Coughlin.
Lewis? Yeah.
Marvin Lewis, Tom Coughlin.
Assistant head coach.
Where are these guys at? Where are these guys at least just trying to help? I mean, Marvin Lewis is on the sideline with him.
And you know what? And that's my problem, man. And that's why it's like it's hard for me to put blame somewhere because I want to know, like, is someone telling him to do this and he's saying, yeah, I'm gonna do it, or he's saying, no, I don't want it. Like, is he taking the advice from his advisors and just not listening, or are they giving him bad advice? Like, I need to know that before I can really critique him, because a part of me does not think that Marvin is telling them some of this stuff personally.
No,
Yeah,
so I think no, go ahead. Oh yeah, we have a question. Go ahead.
Brooke, I'm just going to answer Cologne. We kind of touched on it earlier in the show. I don't know. I think we went away from it because I think we tried to attack the Panthers' weakest position group, which is the D-line. So we tried to go after them. I understand the strategy, but when it doesn't work, when it ain't working, get off of it. Have a counter.
Quickly.
Yes, you need to have an answer to it. You need to have an adjustment, and we just didn't do it. And so I understand why we initially tried to establish the run. It was a good game to try to do it, but we couldn't do it. You had to get off of it. So I'm with. I don't know why that's a tough one. So Severe, sorry, go for
it. Yeah, man. It's like this was an issue last year, so that's why I'm not attributing this to anything Marvin Lewis is telling them or anything that Tom Coughlin is telling them
for the game management.
Yeah, time management, like just that stuff is an issue with AP last year, right? We talked about it last year. I think in the Dolphins game was one particularly bad game for him in terms of like late game management stuff. So and we thought he was going to get this rectified, right? We thought bringing in a guy like Marvin Lewis, having a guy like Joe Philbin there, even though he's up, I think he's up in the booth. Having a guy like Edgar Bennett there, who's been a coach in the league for like 30 years, right? And then and then like they say, he has none of those guys. He hired a guy to do this. Matt Sheldon is supposed to be one of those guys. That's his job.
That's his job. Yeah.
That's his job is to do this. So I don't know if Matt Sheldon is telling him to do these things or if this is an AP thing. But either way, man, it's stuff that's so obvious. Fans can see it's something wrong with it. And I said it last year. And I made some of the same points that 805 made, right? You've been playing football since you were a child.
Yeah.
You've played at the highest of highest level, at the highest of the highest level. You've coached at the high school level and at the collegiate level, and you've been an assistant coach in the NFL. Like, this is not complicated stuff. This is not complicated stuff. And that's not one of those situations where like, hey, you know what? We really need a spark right here. So what we're going to do is my offense isn't giving us anything, and we're getting cooked by this team. So we're going to go for it in our own territory. With like why? Why in that situation would you do that?
And I'm with you because I mean I haven't coached college. I have not coached obviously, in the NFL. I've only coached a high school, right? And so I coached years of high school. And the thing is, like, I can see that on the TV. That's I don't know why we're going for it. I don't know why we're going for it in this type of situation. And so again, I know in the moment sometimes you get caught up, but hey, that's why you get paid the big bucks. You better make that right decision. You know what I'm saying? That's why you the head of the ship. Question by Rambo. He says, I was never a Getsy guy. How much leash does he have with AP before he gets told what to call? I'm guessing you're saying just how much leash does Getsy have with AP? At a point, do we let Getsy go? I'm guessing that's what you're asking. Man, honestly, I don't know. It's tough. I think our offense is there's no identity. Last week we established a passing game and we had some success in the second half. You wanted to grow off of that, but this offense has no identity, and everything starts. And AP knows this, and this is why I'm more pissed off what we did in the offseason, or lack thereof. We have no offensive line game. We cannot battle in the trenches. We have nothing, and it all starts there. Yeah, it all starts in the trenches. And
is this the worst? Is this the worst front five we've had like in the last 10 years? It might be.
Oh, probably.
Think about it. I mean, I don't remember our line ever just getting like bullied like this before. Like I know we had our issues because I know like Colton used to play better, and then even like back like when we had Incognito, you know, he was strong. So we always had like parts. We always had like a right tackle.
We always had one guy we hated. Like
it was like that right tackle.
It was either the right tackle or it was like one of the guards. I mean, like Cooper Carlisle was the guy everybody hated. Right? Everybody hated Cooper Carlisle. And then I think then Samson Satelli was a guy everybody hated. We had Samson Satelli. People hated, and I like Samson Satelli. I don't know why people hated. I thought he was solid, but he was strong though.
He was strong as an ox.
People hated Samson Satelli. So it's always one person. And you know, of course, we had the guy that
mine was Khalif Barnes. I couldn't say Khalif Barnes. Him and Brandon Parker. Him and Brandon Parker. That was my two.
Yeah. So going back to the question about the short leash here, in my opinion, I think it's really hard because if our offensive line is just trash and we just can't establish anything and everything starts in the trenches, I don't know how much AP might throw it all on Getsy's shoulders. And I'm not saying that's a wrong or right decision. I'm just saying I don't know at what point does Antonio Pierce just kind of pull that trigger and say, look, man, it's not working out. Now, who do you hand it off to? Yeah. I don't know who you hand it off to on our coaching staff.
You can't.
But that's nobody. So this is the issue. So this is the issue, right? So this issue, because last year, early on in the process, I was not an AP guy, right? I was like, you know what? I'd rather not hire AP. First of all, I just usually hiring the guy that's the interim coach that had success. I think like that has a low probability of success just based on like across all the sports and specifically in NFL, it usually doesn't work out. And then, you know, I was talking about the situation with offensive, right? This is an offensive league. And generally you want a young offensive minded head coach and you want an offensive coordinator, because if your offense isn't working, you can say, you know what, either, hey, if your offensive coordinator isn't doing a good job, I'm taking over play calling duties, right? I'm going to start running the offense right now as the head coach. Or if the head coach is running the offense, you know what? Dang, I'm going to take this off of my plate. I'm going to give this responsibility to my offensive coordinator. But now, guess what? You can't do that because there's only Luke Getsy. There's nobody else. Even Edgar Bennett, who's been the offensive coordinator in the past, he wasn't a play caller. He was not a play caller. So you can't even give the duties to him. There's literally nobody else on this team that can really fulfill those duties. Or if they do give it to somebody, they're a major question mark. So we kind of got to ride this thing through. I mean, last year I said early in the year, after the week 2 loss against Pittsburgh, I said, yo, what? It's time to start looking at Ben Johnson. By week 4, I was saying, you know what? Bobby Slowick is probably the next guy up. I'm bringing in Bobby Slowick. That was a big Bobby Slowick guy. And then I was like, you know what? Gerard Johnson, this guy, he's come up in some interesting places, and he was the quarterback's coach in the Texans. He could be a guy potentially to look at, if not for a head coaching job, maybe for an offensive coordinator. These are all guys I said look at. And, you know, So, I mean, but right now we have what we have. I support AP to the fullest. You know, I think ultimately we made the right decision. And I think that outside of, Luke Getsy, AP has done a lot of good things, especially things for a young head coach that's inexperienced. You would want him to do surround himself with experienced people. Have a guy he struggle with clock management. Hire a guy to help with clock management. But guess what? You have to listen to that guy. If you hire him, they'll be like, all right, well, I'm doing my thing. Like, you listen to that guy. And apparently it doesn't seem like AP is listening to that guy.
So there's two questions, right? Ernest, is AP in over his head, and it kind of combines with this. Do you think it's because he's an emotional leader? I think you may just get caught up in the moment. I think, Severe, you kind of just answered this question a little bit. I think it remains to be seen if AP's in over his head. We just don't know yet. It's 3 games in. I can't tell you, in my opinion, whether or not I think he's in over his head. We got to give him at least half a season just to kind of see how this thing kind of unfolds. But Chris, I'll throw it to you. Do you think AP might be in over his head at this point?
I don't know if he's over his head. I just hope that he's listening to his advisors. Which, just listening to him talk, I feel like he's a type that will bring them in for a reason and hear them out. But I'm still so baffled about this offense, man. It's like I really want to know the behind the scenes. I know it's none of my business, but shit, I travel all over the country to go watch this team, so it kind of is my business. But like whose idea is it to do these things on to try to force this run game? A part of me is like, it's AP. A part of me really is like, that's what he wants to do. But then a part of me goes back and think, okay, AP wanted to get Cliff Kingsbury. Like he wanted Cliff, and Cliff's not going to have a run first identity. So maybe AP was more for a up tempo, score more points. I don't know, but to answer the question, I don't necessarily think he is in over his head, but I just think he needs to make sure he uses his resource. At the end of the game, I did like seeing on TV him talking to Marvin. They seemed like they were having just a good conversation back and forth, but I don't know, man. I don't know. Like I'm going to support him to the very end, but something has to change. And I like what he said in his press conference. I'm gonna hold him to it. I expect there to be some business decisions made.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Know what pisses me off the most about this game, more than anything else, is that it robbed me of the joy that I had from seeing Josh Jacobs and Derek Carr play bad. Oh my God.
You were trying to start early. You were trying to start early on me.
I was having such a time.
You were trying to start early on me.
Oh my God. I was having such a time. I went to my son's game, and the other team was talking trash, and one of the players on the other team, they had like some crazy IG highlight that went viral where and then they destroyed these kids. Like it's like 26-0. So that went great. And then Josh Jacobs goes out there and does what Josh Jacobs does.
Stop it.
And that was just beautiful. And then Carr goes out and he turns right back. That carriage turned right back into a pumpkin. And that shine is wearing off over there. And I was like, oh my goodness, this is life. And then the Raiders come out and they steal all that joy from me, man. This is terrible.
Man.
it was absolutely terrible. I mean, I can't even imagine. I can't imagine what that locker room was like. And this is what's really tough, is that last week, Antonio Pierce came out to the pressers and he said this was probably the best practice we've had.
He did say that, didn't he? He did say that.
It was the best offensive practice.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, I mean, he said it was the best offensive practice. You saw Brock Bowers doing the Soul Train line, the whole thing. Went all over social media. I mean, they were having fun. I'm like, all right, yes, you want to live up.
I don't want to see them have no more fun. I don't want to see them have no more fun until they start winning. I don't want to see no smiles on their face, man.
100%. You don't have fun after a performance like this. But at the same time, it's where do we go from here? Okay, and let's talk about this because there was a comment. I think it was either Raider Kev or I pulled it up for a second. But we talk about who's mostly at fault. I'm upset at the moves we made in the offseason, or again, lack thereof with Tom Telesco, because now we're in this situation with our offensive line. Our offensive line, I mean, it's horrible. And so here's the question is the defense can still work itself out. Now, the injuries are going to be tough. I don't know what's going on with Max Crosby. We got to figure out the opposite defensive end. Marcus Epps needs to be healthy. Good thing.
Jack Jones played bad. He played bad
the entire second.
I mean,
bad,
yeah, they all did.
Deontay Johnson just tore us up.
Yeah.
I mean, with a
he's a good. I've always liked him. He's a good receiver, but
I told people, man. I told people it's like they don't got no weapons. I'm like, what? Deontay Johnson.
Oh, yeah, Deontay nice. Deontay nice.
Well, I like Deontay Johnson. I think he was damn good with the Steelers.
Very good.
Me too.
Only reason he's gone is because they didn't want to pay him.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but the defense, I think, again, barring injuries and stuff like that, we can work things out. We know that this defense can be good. You have bad games at time. Okay. I'm not sure what we're going to do with this offensive line. And we don't have a Tom Brady in the backfield, unfazed, or an AOC. Okay. We don't but we don't have a gunslinger back there that's going to pick apart a defense, drop back 30, 40 times a game and pick apart a defense. Zamir White is not a very good running back at this point.
No, he's not. He's not.
This offensive line is bad right now.
Yes.
How do we fix this? How do you think we need to kind of move forward with this, knowing that it's now 3 games and our offensive line, and we're still shuffling guys? I mean, why do you bring in Jackson Powers Johnson to replace Dylan Parham?
Yeah.
Like, what?
Yeah. That was crazy. That was crazy.
Like when I saw JPJ on the field and then I saw Cody White here standing next to him, I'm like, well, wait a second. You pulled Parham to give him some reps?
Yeah.
I thought he was supposed to be getting reps next to Colton Miller.
Yeah.
So
I thought that was the whole point of moving him over there, having a veteran next, to work with. I thought that was the whole point.
It made complete sense. I'm not, I'm not sure why it doesn't make much sense now. But that's the thing is you cannot allow this offensive line to start gelling, to kind of get their chemistry together until we understand what the unit is. What is that starting 5? That starting 5 has to practice together. They have to take every rep together. They need to be able to communicate, understand their calls, understand how you're going to double a tackle and who's going to reach the linebacker. I mean, it's all about chemistry. And if you keep rotating these guys in and out, they'll never get chemistry. And so, again, I'm not exactly sure why all of a sudden you put JPJ in for Dylan Parham when JPJ ends up starting. My guess he's going to start at left guard. And if he starts at left guard, why the hell did you rep him at right guard?
Right.
Exactly.
Right. It just makes no sense, man. No sense at all.
No sense at all, man.
And honestly, so what do you guys think about? I mean, I know we'll have to watch it closely when the replays come out, but from what I saw of JPJ, he was being physical. He wasn't getting pushed back. He was holding his own, man. I like it.
Pretty good.
From the few reps I saw.
He actually looked pretty good.
Yeah.
It was just I couldn't go back and watch all that, but he looked pretty good. But let's get to this question real quick, and then we'll jump back into the offensive line. Emmy says, "Do you believe in Minshew, or is it time to put Aiden O'Connell in?" This one might roll for a little bit. Severe, I'll let you go for this one.
So I will say this, and so I knew as soon as Minshew got in there. And he had a nice drive and he got a touchdown. I knew this.
You mean O'Connell?
I mean, yeah, as soon as O'Connell got in there, he had a nice drive and threw a touchdown. I knew this was going to happen. People are like they're completely different scenarios, right? Like at that point, Carolina was just, hey, you know what? We're foot off the gas.
Yeah.
This game is basically locked up. As long as we don't give anything up crazy, we're going to be good. And even in those situations, like Gardner Minshew got sacked 2 times in the game, I think for a loss of 8 yards. Aiden O'Connell took a 12-yard sack. Gardner Minshew threw 1 interception over the course of 3 quarters. And Aiden O'Connell damn near threw another interception just in that 4th quarter alone. So what makes you think he's going to be better?
It was a drop interception, and the thing is, if that linebacker wasn't there, there was a safety behind him that would have caught it. So it would have.
It's like it's like I said, I was all for drafting a quarterback this offseason. Everybody knows I wanted to draft. That's one of the main reasons I did have my disdain for Tommy Eichenberg. My pure, but we can't pull the. I don't think it's time to pull the plug yet. You can't pull. We saw Carolina pull the plug on Bryce Young after 2 games this season, but that's because they had a sample size all last year. Bryce Young,
all last season,
and they didn't see what they wanted to see. So I don't think we pull the plug just yet. And Aiden O'Connell behind this offensive line, they're gonna get this young man hurt. He has no pocket presence. He has no pocket mobility. He holds on the ball way too long. Like, he's slow to read. Arm isn't that great either. So it's like, what do you think you're getting from him? He's not a fast processor. His arm is better, but it's not that much better where you're like, okay, well, now we got this guy that's going to just press it into these tight windows. Even when we were pressing the ball in tight windows, guys were dropping it, right? So Devontae was dropping passes. So it's like, what do you think he's going to do that Gardner Minshew isn't doing?
And me had a question. He said, "What's our expectations for the rest of the season?" We'll touch on that right at the very end. All right, so we'll get to that at the very end.
He said real talk only. I don't know. Was it maybe you only, or just did he say?
No. I think he was just saying, like, be honest, I guess.
Oh,
Chris, I'll throw it to you real quick, and then I'll kind of give my take on whether or not we roll with Aiden O'Connell this point.
There's absolutely no reason to go with Aiden O'Connell. I mean, I think Severe hit all the points that I was going to hit. It's as we know. I mean, since Derek Carr was the king of the garbage time stats. That's all that Aiden was seeing. But even in that, he took a sack. He had a bad, like, you guys get mad at what Gardner's interception. Gardner's interception was based off of just the quarterback and the receiver not being on the same page on either an option or whatever it was. Aiden's pass, literally, he looked downfield and thought it was a good idea to throw that, and he threw it, and Josie Jewell dropped it, and the guy behind him would have picked it too. And then that would have been the end of that series, but luckily he dropped it, and then Aiden was able to redeem himself and throw a touchdown that, I think that next play or something like that. But no, they're us fans, we got to stop being so fickle. Last week, we were praising Gardner. Max and all the other leaders of the team are backing Gardner. So that's who I'm going to back, and until I feel like the reason we're losing is because of Gardner, then I'll think about getting rid of him. And like, I remember Jamarcus Russell days. Like, I felt like we were losing because of him. I don't feel like we're losing these games because of Gardner Minshew, honestly.
So here's my take, and look, I think it's a tough decision when the offense looks so flat, right? We just did not produce today. We did not produce for the entire first half against the Ravens. The Chargers game was had some sparks here and there, but for the most part, just didn't look like there was an identity to this offense. What I'd hate to do is, if you think Aiden O'Connell is actually either better or has better attributes than Gardner Minshew, I don't know if I'd want to see Aiden O'Connell behind this offensive line right now. I mean, you throw Aiden O'Connell behind this offensive line is going to wreck his life. I mean, this offensive line is trash. This is our biggest problem. I'm not putting everything on. I don't want to sit there and go, oh, all of a sudden we got to get rid of Minshew. Yeah, we need to improve this offensive line. This offensive line has to get better. And yes, I want to see Gardner Minshew use his legs just a little bit more. That's why I think part of the reason why he won the job was because he's just more mobile, which we need, because this offensive line is going to let up a lot of D tackles coming up the middle, blitzing linebackers, guys coming off the edge. But it's hard. It's hard right now to tell whether or not Aiden O'Connell would do better behind this offensive line. So that's it's a tough decision, honestly, and I hate to not say one or the other. I think moving forward, I think we have to go with Gardner Minshew as it stands right now. Gardner Minshew hasn't done anything to lose the job. Let's just put it that way. I don't think he's done anything to lose the job.
No.
This offensive line is just horrible.
Offensive line is horrible, and drop passes. And again, I don't want to give just a whole bunch of excuses because Gardner did not play perfect at all. And that deep ball to Trey Tucker where he slowed down. Little stuff like that is that's a difference maker, man. You hit that long ball at that point that changed the rest of the game potentially, because then we can start. I don't know what down that was on, but then we could start looking at different plays, and I don't know, man. Just those little one-offs mean a lot, man.
Nah, not facts. And as 805 alluded to, man, like we had a long drawn out competition, one in which Aiden started out in the lead, so he had a head start to this quarterback job. Man. He had a head start to the quarterback job and still lost. He still lost. So I don't want to hear these people saying ain't no kind. Like, he looked worse in training camp, he looked worse through that first preseason game, in my opinion, and he had that one nice drive in the second preseason game, I want to say, and then immediately threw immediately and then threw a pick six to like third string, right? So it's like, he's not that guy, man. He's not that guy, and people are like, oh, he's 26 years old. He's a year younger than Lamar Jackson. Put that into context, into perspective. He's 1 year younger than Lamar Jackson. He's several years older than Malik Willis, who's been in the league for like 3-4 years. I don't want to hear this nonsense about Aiden O'Connell, bro. He's not a good quarterback. He's a high level backup, possibly, but he's not a guy that's going to lead us to the promised land. If at this point, changing quarterbacks between those two is shuffling decks on the Titanic, shuffling deck chairs on the Titanic. Like, unless something tangible happens somewhere else, this team is not going to be good. All right.
I mean, you look at not to be a dead horse, but you look at Devontae Adams. He drops that ball against the Ravens inside the 10. He walks in the end zone. That's a different ball game. I mean, we beat the Ravens. It's not a tight game, and that's going down to the last second. So. I don't think Gardner Minshew's done enough to lose the job at this point because again, offensive line drop passes, it's all bad. Real quick, guys, disagree with me if you think or if you have a different take. T-Nipple 20 says, fellas, what do you think is going on with JPJ interviews? He looks dejected, depressed. AP and him seem to be at odds. Very weird stuff going on behind the scenes. Honestly, it could just be his personality. I don't even know JPJ's personality, so that could just be who he is. He came out and played today. He looked like he did pretty good with the minimal snaps. They might be just trying to ease him in because of the concussion stuff. So I wouldn't put too much thought into it, honestly, unless we really see something going on. That could just be his personality, just the way he looks, and maybe he just doesn't have that, excited. I mean, last week he was actually on the sidelines jumping up and down and getting hyped with his team. So I don't know if we put too much.
Now, when was this? Was it after today or just recent interviews? I wonder what they're talking about. JPJ being rejected.
Yeah, so let us know in the comments again. I'll try to get down there. But Charlie Sinclair, I appreciate you for the super chat. Can we admit Harbaugh over Pierce? I know Severe kind of just talked on that a little bit. I'll give you just kind of my quick thoughts. Look, I understand there's a bunch of people that wanted Harbaugh. There's a bunch of people that wanted Antonio Pierce. I get it. And there was good reasons and arguments for both. Harbaugh's, he's a proven winner. I got it. Okay, that's a good argument. I can't say much to it, but Antonio Pierce brought just what us, I don't want to say us, but just what the Raider feel was. He would bring that right away back. And that's kind of what we wanted. For the guys, for the people that wanted Antonio Pierce, that locker room wanted him. He brought this spark that I think we were all been waiting for. And I was willing to kind of go through the growing pains, and I'll admit it. I knew there was going to be growing pains. And so, but it's hard because at the end of the day, there's legitimate arguments for both. You can't argue the fact that Harbaugh is a proven winner. And so we're just going to have to let this thing play out, in all honesty. we'll see. We'll see. We'll play them week 18, last week of the season. We'll just see how this truly plays out. We can kind of get them back for that week 1 loss. So, but all right. So at the end of the day, this was a horrible loss coming off of a great win. And look, it happens. It does happen where you have an emotional, tough, hard-fought game and teams deflate the week after. It happens. This was a really bad one. All right. This was not a good look whatsoever across the board. But I think we all can agree. But at the end of the day, in chat, I'll try to go through this and get your guys' feedback as well. But if we need to address anything, and I think it maybe goes back to our offensive line talk. If we need to address anything, what do you think it is that we need to address to get this better, and how do you think we address it? Chris, I'll throw this over to you.
Okay, so what are you talking about specifically? The line?
Just coming off of such an embarrassing loss, where do we go from here? What position groups that need to improve, and how do we improve it? How do you think AP and this coaching staff can actually turn things around to kind of recover off of this embarrassing loss?
Yeah, so for me, it's kind of simple. I think we need to stop trying to be something that we're not. I understand, we have a wish list. We have to understand what our weaknesses in. So sometimes you have to self-reflect. Before you make any changes or any improvements in whatever it is in life, you have to self-reflect and understand, what are you good at? What do you need further developing in? Running the ball, like I know I sound like a broken record, but trying to establish this running game is not going to work. I understand it, but luckily in the West Coast offense, you don't have to really establish a running game. You can use your passing game to set up the running game. You can do passes that are high, that's low risk, that that you can hit, still move the ball down the field, put yourself in a comfortable position on third downs. Our biggest thing is, time after time, we're putting Gardner Minshew in a position where it's in third and long. Now, people know I support Gardner Minshew, but do I want Gardner Minshew spending all game doing these third and longs, doing 3rd and 7s, 3rd and 8? No, he's not that guy. He is not that guy. You want Gardner to be in the 3rd and 3 range, the 3rd and 2, stuff like that. So, trying to force this run in that time when it was 3rd and 7 and we did a run, like little stuff like that. Like, we have to understand who we are. You don't see I'm trying to think of a team like the Dolphins. I mean, actually, I don't know their numbers, but it's like they know what their game plan is, like, and they stick to it. Like the Chiefs, and I know that may not be the best example because they got Mahomes, but you just got to know what your identity is and work off of that. Stop trying to be something that you're not. Once we do that, because that's what we did the last quarter of the Ravens game, we said, you know what, Samir, I love you, but you're not going to be able to help us win this game right now. So we got to give the ball to 89 and 17 and 8 in those guys. If we don't do that, we're in trouble, man. We're in trouble.
I'm with the Severe. Go for it. Where do you think, what position group, where do you think that needs the most improvement, and how do we do it moving forward?
Like, the cavalry ain't coming, man. Like, the cavalry is not
right.
coming.
Right. We better fight.
Nobody,
we dying.
If there was somebody out there that can help us, they would have been signed already, right? Like there's nobody out there that can, I know people like Hassan Reddick can, we can make a move for Hassan Reddick, but he's not going to fix all of our issues at all. Mm-hmm. So it's all about, we have to make the improvements internally. We have to make the improvements internally. People got hyped about, what this team was doing week 1 and week 2, and guess what? The league adjusted to it, right? Like, you didn't see Brock Bowers running wide open in this game at all, right? You did not see that anymore. They're like, okay, we're not going to run this. We're not going to run the same coverage anymore. We're not going to do that. And guess what? You know, and I think I see a lot of times they had him in man coverage, and he struggled to beat man coverage. So it's the league is going to adjust to us, right? They like the second half of last game, Zach Orr, they really weren't bracketing Devontae Adams a lot, and then Devontae Adams got loose on him, and he had some big plays. So it's incumbent upon us to see those adjustments and adjust and make adjustments off of those adjustments. And I don't know what Lugetzi is going to do or what he has to do, but you know, those improvements they can only really come from internally, because there's nobody after week 3 of the NFL season that you're going to insert into this team and all of a sudden it's going to fix our issues. It's just not going to happen.
And Severe, I love that you said that, because I mean, you're absolutely right. You know, teams are going to adjust to what they see. I mean, that's the beauty of watching film. And you know, there's guys that's their whole job is to break down film for the team and find out tendencies and things like that. You're right. So the thing is, we have enough weapons where, okay, you want to take out Brock Bowers today? All right, well, you got to put 2 guys on or whatever. Now you got to deal with Devontae. Okay, you want to get him? All right, now like we got enough where we got option A, B, C, but like we don't even give them the option. We're like, well, we're gonna be a hard-nosed run first team and give the ball to, like, I don't know. It's a joke at this point, man. It's a joke until we take our strategy seriously, man. And I don't know. But Severe, I'm glad you said that. You're on point.
Full on air raid.
Bro, at this point, air raid sounds beautiful to me, bro. It sounds beautiful to me.
Full air raid. The only running play we should be running is as a halfback draw,
right?
Once or twice a quarter,
right?
Other than that,
right?
Full air raid.
Full air raid. I'm with it. I'm with all that.
So I think, and this is where it is tough, is we're at the point now where we just didn't set ourselves up right in the offseason. We didn't beef up in the O-line when we should have. Yes, we got Jackson Powers-Johnson, but guess what? He's hurt, concussion issues.
Right.
That's why he probably dropped in the draft. So you knew that going into it, so you made that mistake. And we haven't seen our second-round rookie. He got, I don't know, it's probably maybe a handful of plays this week, and who knows how he progresses. But at the end of the day, the cards are dealt the way they are. This coaching staff has to step up. You got to make this thing work. If you want success, you got to scheme around it. You know, I've coached teams that have extremely good talent. I've coached teams that I don't have a lot of talent. So I got to figure out how can I make this team that doesn't have a lot of talent, how do I make it work? Where are my strengths? Where are my weaknesses? And how do I make our strengths even better? And how do I get our weaknesses to a point where it's playable, right? I mean, you have to understand just where you're at as a team, and I think that's our only hope at this point. I mean, the offensive line is struggling, and that's where it all starts. We have the receivers. I mean, Jacoby Myers, he's still a good receiver. Devontae Adams, he's still a good receiver. Just take away the drops. You got what's becoming one of the better tight ends in the league out of Brock Bowers. Trey Tucker still can go deep, you know. So we still have some weapons to work with. The thing is now maybe you need to start getting a little more creative on the offensive play calling. Maybe you need to throw some things in there that maybe a little more misdirection. You know,
can we get out of 12 personnel, please?
Get out of 12 personnel?
Yes. Michael Mayer can go fill up the water bottles, man. He can go fill it. I know that's Severe's boy, but he can go fill up the water bottles. All I care, bro. I'm telling you, man. He's not man.
I think, and here's the thing is I was hoping that Michael Mayer would produce a little more, especially on third downs, because again, he's that fourth or fifth weapon on our offense, right? You got Devontae Adams, Jacoby Myers, Trey Tuckers, Brock Bowers, and now Michael Mayer. He's gonna be matched up with their fifth defender.
Yeah,
you know that offset linebacker that's not extremely good in coverage. I wanted to know if he can expose some people, and unfortunately, either he's just not doing it, or Lugetzi's not putting him in the right positions to be able to possibly expose some of these defensive players and these defensive units. And so,
like, what real impact does he have? I mean, I know he's a decent blocker as a tight end, but it's like, I don't know, man. I'm not seeing the impact that everybody else is seeing. And I know Severe's high on him, 805. I don't know how you feel about him, but like my thing is put Tucker in there. I'd rather do that than the 12 personnel, me personally. I know I keep saying it. I know I sound like I'm beating a dead horse, but we need some explosion, man. Honestly, we're not going to be able to run the ball, folks. I'm sorry.
I mean, I honestly think it's just Getsy not using him. Like if we're like last game, like we did deliberate things to get Michael and to get Brock Bowers the ball. There were deliberate stuff we did to get him the ball, right? Perfect example of that pass we talked about where he ran that post corner route, right? Where Minshew held Roquan and then he was able to cut. Like we were doing stuff to scheme Brock Bowers open. And
but you could do that with him though.
But you can do that with Michael Mayer too. You're just not doing it because he's lower on the pecking order. He's like 4th on the pecking order. Of course you're going to get your first round pick that instead of trading it for a quarterback, you took this guy instead of drafting a right tackle. You took this guy. Oh, you damn well better. Like Brock Bowers has more targets than any tight end in the league. More targets than any more targets. Not even talking about his production, just more targets because we're deliberate about getting him the ball. We're very deliberate about. Well, but we're not deliberate about Michael. So you can't be like, oh, well, what is Michael Mayer doing? Like he had one target. He had one target last game and 3 targets.
That's a different weapon, man. I mean, you got an AK or you got a 22, man.
You have to use him, right?
What are you going to war with?
I mean, you got to use him. He's a weapon. He was the entirety of the Notre Dame offense. The entirety of it. It's him and Audric Estime.
I'd rather have an AK.
Him and Audric Estime were the only.
That's why I was hoping that we were going to be able to see just a little more out of him. And because, again, he's going to be the 5th guy on this offense. Exactly. And so, we're 12 personnel. I mean, we still have 2 tight ends on the field. In my opinion, I think at a certain point, when the run game just isn't working, and then you're not fooling anybody when you come out with a double tight end set or you're with an unbalanced line. You're not fooling anybody at this point.
No, you're not.
And so you might as well see. Here's one of the things, and again, it's just kind of the way I used to scheme things a little bit. Again, I'm mainly a defensive guy, but I coach a lot of offense too.
Hold on. Cool Kev said Mayer is a white Ricky Dudley, bro.
Nah, he's not the athlete. He's nowhere near the athlete.
Kev with the win. Cool Kev with the
win. He's not. Ricky Dudley was a crazy athlete, but
he was a crazy
Michael Mayer is very
good.
Michael Mayer is a very skilled player, bro. We're just not using him. He's a very skilled player. As I said before, he's a better route runner than Brock Bowers. Put that in your pipe and smoke it.
Here's Severe go, man.
I was about to say that's a bold statement.
Hey, I showed Chris, and Chris couldn't say nothing. He's like, well, now I told Chris to look at the film. He's like, well, he was running the wide open a lot. They did do a lot. I was like, bro, I'm telling you, I watched every single snap the dude played at Georgia. I see him.
Hey, I found a couple though.
You found like in 3 years, you found like 2. In 3 years,
because he literally just ran away from everybody. He literally just ran away from everyone.
Brock Bowers, what I want you to do here, we're going to run this drag route, and we're going to just wait for you to get wide open across the field and throw it to you. Then we're going to let you run up the field.
Brock Bowers, what you to do? He got busy.
Stop right here, and with the ball in his hands, he's a menace.
Even today, he had that great. At
the end of the half. But guess what? He only produced today when they were backing off of him. When it was like, you know what? We're not going to give up anything deep. We're going to back off of you and we're going to let you catch the ball, rally and tackle. And then
you're right. But that's the thing. But that's when the other guys got to step up. That's when it's all about. You know what I'm saying? Like where's Devontae? Like why are you dropping the ball? Where's Trey?
Yeah,
but and that's the thing is we have to be able to establish some solid weapons, and they need to respect it in order to get other guys open, right? Like we need to hit Trey Tucker deep a couple more times, pull these safeties back, extend these defensive backs in order to let Michael Mayer kind of work underneath a little bit, But as of right now, we're not establishing any real threat anywhere, not in the passing game, not in the running game. Now, one thing I didn't see today, which I saw quite a bit of against the Ravens, we ran almost no RPOs. I saw no RPOs.
Yeah.
And the thing is we ran quite a few against the Ravens. It kept them a little off balance. But what I was going to say before was one of the things on the offensive side that I used to do is if I knew my offensive line was a little bit weaker, right? I didn't have a solid offensive line. We're going against a pretty good defensive line, or at least a defensive front. I would spread guys out. I try to lighten out the box.
Thank you, man.
Yes.
Thank
you. I want to lighten out the box. I want my offensive line. I want my offensive line to focus on just that front four and maybe one, possibly two linebackers.
Thank you.
Right? Because if you bring everybody inside, if you're bunching everybody in,
anybody could come. Yeah, they could be way more creative on defense. Yeah,
you're making it a lot easier for blitzers to come off the edge. And so one of the things that I would do is I would lighten the box, spread the guys out. But again, we're not seeing much of it, so it's tough. I mean, at this point, we have the cards that are dealt, and we got to work with it. These coaches got to do something. They got to coach this thing up, and we got to get this thing rolling. Now, we got the Cleveland Browns next week, and I think I saw that Myles Garrett is going to go on possibly get an MRI tomorrow, and so
he hurt his knee. Hurt his knee.
Yeah.
I ain't gonna lie. I was worried about that. I ain't gonna lie. I was thinking about that all last week.
Yeah, and so look, at the end of the day, these are those type of games, and I think we've all you always see it. I don't care what team you root for, it happens. But these are the type of games. I think the only thing that Antonio Pierce can do at this point right now is say short-term memory. You learn from it.
Oh yeah,
you get in that get in the position rooms, and you start hitting those books. You make sure that you understand what you did wrong, what we need to do to improve, and you get after it. No more smoking the cigars. You get in that practice film, and you start making sure we get this thing better. Because at the end of the day, that's all we got. There's no help coming. Severe to your point, there's no help coming. We got to help ourselves at this point.
Cavalry ain't coming. That's a comment of the night. Cavalry ain't coming, bro.
Exactly. So, but man, there's not a lot. There's not a lot to that positive that can come from this win or this loss. 36-22. A lot of those points came in the fourth quarter. A lot of question marks still out there. At the end of the day, we have to beef up this O-line. We have to make sure this O-line works for us, and that's where it starts. So we got almost 300 in chat, man. I appreciate everybody coming through. We've been on here for an hour and 45 minutes. We've been rolling strong. Chris, Severe, any last words, anything you want to end everybody with? Severe, I'll throw it to you first.
Emmanuel.
Calm down. Calm down.
Oh, man.
What was the well, I didn't even check how many yards per carry he had today.
It don't matter. It don't matter. They won.
I think Zamir beat him out today. I think they did win. The ironic look, Josh Jacobs has his biggest game of the year. They scored 16 points. Josh Jacobs is a non-factor. They scored like 30. Like, what does that tell you? What does that tell you?
The team, look, the team was focusing on him. That's why that was the game plan. Hey, leave JJ alone, bro.
But I think it's time to spread it out.
Doug Jolly. Someone said Doug Jolly. Yes,
Doug Jolly.
That is Michael Mayer.
Oh my God,
Doug Jolly.
We'll see.
Kevin Boss.
Oh no,
the late Kevin Boss. Not the Giants. Kevin Boss.
I know.
Our Kevin Boss.
I know. Yeah. He's the guy that played. He played for both.
Yeah, he was trash with us. The Giants.
He was a blocker.
Nice.
He was just like he was
Michael
Mayer.
Blocker. He's Kevin Boss.
Michael Mayer has hands. We just not using them. But I think spreading out.
Severe's going to stand on that, Chris.
He is going to stand on it. He's not going to let that go ever.
Yeah. Nah. Look. I told Chris. I said, find me an example of him doing it. He searched far and wide and found 1.5 examples.
It was harder than I. It was harder than I thought. I ain't gonna lie. It was harder than I thought.
I told you. But I don't say stuff to say it. I actually watch this stuff and then I formulate my opinion.
But what I'm saying is, he didn't need to route cats up because he was just that dude. He was that dude.
He's athletic. He's athletic enough where he didn't need to be like a precise route runner. He can round off routes and still beat guys because he's athletic enough. But Michael Mayer, he sometimes that precision helps. But I think spreading out, like as you guys were saying, spreading guys out, I think that creates opportunities for everybody. I think that's a good way to get Brock Bowers more space out there, right? Get more DBs on the field. less guys that are able to really tackle that well. Like let him run through some of them arm tackles of some backup, cornerbacks or some backup safeties. Like let him do that. Let Michael Mayer, be able to post a guy up that's smaller than him. Let Devontae get some favorable matchups as well. And then once you spread those guys out, even if you go single back formation, hey, you can run a halfback draw for that, or you can run like a counter off of that, and maybe you get a little bit like little something going in a run game. So I think somebody asked the question earlier, and I think we talked about we were going to get back to it in terms of our expectations.
Expectations for the rest of the season.
Yeah, the rest of the season. And
that just reminded me.
It is the outlook is not great, right? Outlook is not
it's
great.
A little shaky.
It's a little. It's like when you shake the magic 8 ball, it's like it's like the it's so. And I said before this game, right? This is a weather vane game. How we come out today, this is a team we're expected to win. It's our home opener. That was going to determine kind of what I thought about this team going forward. Now, I'm a Raider, so I'm always going to have a somewhat positive outlook. So we have a chance, right? We have a chance against the Browns and the Broncos to kind of get right. The Broncos just got their first win today. I think the Browns won as well today.
They looked all right. They looked pretty good today too. I ain't gonna lie.
Deshaun looks like he's low key rounding in the form as well.
I'm talking about the Broncos looked all right. Now Deshaun still looked weak. Deshaun looked weak.
The Broncos, but Bo Nix still didn't look great to me. Like
I felt like they look. I ain't gonna lie, that defense looked good. They made Baker look bad. Baker looked bad today.
Baker's coming off losing Canales as well. So we saw what Canales did with Andy Dalton today. So maybe that tells you it tells you a little bit something. But Chuck, cool Kev, stop the nonsense. Michael Mayer has some better hands. He said his hands is like Tyree Foot.
He ain't lying.
Hey, Michael Mayer has great hands.
One point today. He's not lying, man.
Talk about Michael Mayer's speed. I can't. You got no arguments with me there, okay? I got no arguments there. He ain't the fleetest of foot, but his hands. He got top.
See, now I know who Severe's looking for. Cool Kevin, unfazed. Severe's just got the eyes for looking out for them.
He was my son, man. I gotta look out for him, man. I gotta look out for him. I gotta look out for my son, man.
Still looking for those cigarettes, right?
He looks up for Pop, man. He looks up to Pop.
Oh man,
tell me I'm coming back. I'll be back home one day, son. Don't worry about it. But there's a gift card in the mail for your birthday. Yeah, man. Like I'm not totally down on the team, but we still have an opportunity to get things right. A lot of growing pains early in the season. A lot of times, a lot of time left. AP hopefully rounding in the farm. He's finding his way through this. But it is a situation where we don't show well in these next two games. That is going to be very detrimental. Very detrimental.
These next 2 games are going to be huge. 100%.
Oh yeah.
Especially this middle part of our season when we got to go to the Rams, and then it's KC, and then we got Cincy. I mean, the gauntlet's coming, and it's coming quick. These first 4 or 5 games, the ones we had to come out with a pretty good record.
Yeah.
So, Chris, I'll throw it to you, man. Any final thoughts?
Yeah, the same thing, man. Like we have to take advantage. Like we dropped the ball today, of course, but we got to take advantage of a Browns team that is battered. I know. I think they were missing their left and right tackle at one point. In fact, I think they had to move their center to guard earlier. Cause I'll talk to my buddy that's a Browns fan. Like they're all banged up, and still have Nick Chubb's out. What's the name? Garrett, Myles Garrett may be out. So and Chubb's out. So I mean, it's a lot going on. So here's our chance, and Deshaun is just playing terrible. And honestly, their offensive line is probably worse than ours, believe it or not. So,
really?
No, it is. Oh, they're bad. They're bad. In fact, I think Deshaun got sacked 6 times a day. Something crazy.
Damn.
Yeah, it's nasty. So, so we have to take advantage of this. Have to take advantage of Broncos next week. Then we have a winnable game against the Steelers. They won today. we have to come out. I'm at the point we got to come out 3-0 the next 3 games. Have to. Sift all today. We have to win the next 3.
Yeah, I'm with you. And Just Lift will go back. We talked about Devontae Adams' body language, and I think we all kind of agree. It's like there's just something about him, his demeanor, everything. It's almost like he's giving off that me mentality, you know. Yeah. And that's what's tough because he is the leader of the offense. Yeah. He's the leader of the offense. You could say of the team between him and Max. Like Max is the top guy, top dog, but Devontae Adams is the leader of this offense. And when he does stuff like that, where it's a bad throw and he turns around, just puts his arms out and then just walks the sideline, sits down, head down. It's like,
no, you're right. And the thing is, I always wanted to believe that he wasn't a diva. And again, like I don't put him in a diva, like a TO type diva or some of the other guys that we know of, but he has his tendencies that are just,
does.
I won't say it's a cancer, but it could be it's still a problem. You know what I'm saying? It's not full blown cancer, but it might be a skin tag that's about to turn into a tumor. I don't know if that even made sense, but y'all get what I'm saying.
That's brutal.
Yeah, man. I saw Deshaun. I saw Amari had 2 touchdowns today, so I thought Deshaun bought out. But nah, man, he played like trash today too.
Yeah, I'm saying he was trash.
I was like,
man.
dang, Amari had 2 touchdowns. Like Deshaun had to play well.
Yeah,
but he played like trash. He played like trash. So hopefully, but as just another DJ said, man, you know, we have a tendency of like these guys just putting on, you know, otherworldly performances.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm with you. I'm Chris. I'm with you as well. I think these next 3 games are huge. These next 3 games, we have to go basically undefeated because
we mess up
starting our week 6. These are our tough games. These are our tough games coming through, and so we have to make sure that we ball out these next 3 weeks. See, it's still early. We have time to fix some things. I'm not hitting the panic button just yet, but something's got to change quickly. And help ain't coming. So coaches, you better figure it out. It's that simple. That's why you're getting paid the big bucks. You better figure this out. And again, what we talked about in the very beginning, it was probably the most disappointing thing about this day is the Raider fans showed out to the stadium.
They showed out.
That stadium was blacked out. Man. The march to victory over the bridge, the Hacienda Bridge. I mean, it was lit. I mean, it there was nothing like it. I turned over and I was like, man, this is like the Oakland feel. It was almost better than Oakland, to be dead honest with you. Just the march over that bridge and everybody was there. I mean, we filled up that bridge marching over. And so to end the day with a loss against a team we should have beat was just extremely disappointing. And so we got to learn from it. We got to grow from it. At the end of the day, we got to move to next week. Short-term memory when it comes to sports, when it comes to football. Learn from it, build on it, be better, and we'll see how we do against the Browns. And so I appreciate everybody in the chat. You guys have been going strong. Make sure you hit that like button before you take off. Again, you got my boy Chris over the Protect the Shield podcast. Make sure you go over there, hit that subscribe button, The Severe Raider. Make sure you go hit him up, hit the subscribe button. I'm 805 Raider. My channel is Real Talk Raider Nation. So wherever you guys are viewing from, hit that like button and go to the other channels, hit the subscribe. It just helps us support what we do. And just we love coming on here and talking with all you guys, going to that chat. And I apologize if I didn't get to all you guys' comments because, man, you guys are flying with the comments. I'm doing the best I possibly can. But we're going to link up again on Tuesday. We're going to kind of do a more deeper dive. Last week, we went over some game film. We brought up some plays. We broke down some plays, which was cool. I think a lot of people liked it. And so we're going to do that again. And then, just kind of recap the game even deeper, but then also prepare for what we got coming up with the Browns. So I appreciate everybody in the chat. Chris, Severe, I appreciate you guys rolling up. Hope you guys have a great rest of your night, great rest of your weekend, and we'll see you guys on the next one. We're out.